As a highlighter pen product on iOS App Store and Chrome Web Store, there were not much competition, so we were able to gain organic traffic. So that was our initial traffic that built our first 3,000 users, 10,000 users. And then something also very lucky happened. Liner got featured on the main page of iOS App Store in United States. And it was like the impression was, I think, in 100 millions.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today I have Luke Chino Kim with me. Luke is the co-founder and CEO of Liner. Liner is one of the most successful AI tools that I haven't heard of yet. They have over 10 million users, which is insane. I'll let Luke talk a little bit about what the product is, but I'm really excited for this conversation. And Liner also just raised a huge $29 million Series B as well. So congrats to you guys for that. And with that, Luke, welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much for being here.
Very excited for this episode and looking forward to deep diving with you, Luke.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Amazing. So let's get things rolling. Luke, do you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and what Liner is?
So I actually started Liner 9 years ago. So it's been a while. So, back then there was no AI. Even AlphaGo was not released back then. So starting in 2015, Liner was some kind of a different product than right now. We started out as a web highlighter pen for the web, which you can install on your browser. Now, Liner is an AI search tool for university students and graduate students or researchers, mostly in United States. And mostly they are searching stuff on Liner to understand very complex knowledge instantly, or find some reliable sources to reference them on their report or essays, or writing papers if they are graduate students. Liner is very good at providing reliable sources. The reason Liner is so good at finding reliable sources is that we've been operating and building Liner as a web highlighter pen before pivoting to AI search. We've been doing that for 8 years. I think it is the largest web highlighter pen product in the world, which is used by also millions of users around the globe. And since most of people who are highlighting sentences on the web normally highlight very academic papers or web pages that contain very high quality knowledge, we were able to gain heuristic knowledge about if the question is about deep learning as a technology, then these websites normally have higher quality results than other websites. And maybe some biochemistry question comes in, we know which website to reference because we've been accumulating the knowledge about the authority among that domain as well. And we are using that technology to power current version of Liner, which is now 100% focused on AI search.
A quick thank you to our sponsors, Assembly AI, for supporting the podcast. Speech-to-text accuracy goes beyond just words. Assembly AI's new Universal 2 model delivers the highest precision yet, with major improvements in alphanumeric recognition, formatting, and proper nouns. Experience the next level of speech AI for free. Head over to assemblyai.com/superhuman and claim $50 in free API credits. That's incredible. Can you tell me a little bit about, am I correct in saying Liner has over 10 million users at this point?
Liner has over 10 million registered users right now. Our monthly active users are in, I'd say, high millions.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Can you tell us a little bit about, how did you find your first customers? I know you said you're in Korea. Did you launch it in Korea and find your first students there, or was the strategy something else?
I actually grew up in Korea, but wanted to create a product that is used globally. So me and my co-founder went to San Jose at the Bay Area and then rented an Airbnb and started Liner there. So we wanted to understand the global audiences, standard of the global audience. And for us, it was people in Silicon Valley. So we just went to cafe like Starbucks, or went to some libraries in Stanford or Berkeley, and then just sat down with students there or people around inside the cafe, and then asked them what are you doing, and what kind of solutions do you need, like while you are finding things. And then we figured out a lot of things, like in Korea, you know, a lot of people are using subway or bus to commute. So they have a lot of time doing like watching videos on iPhone or doing games. But what we saw in United States is that people normally drive more than Korea. So for us, it was very insightful to see that it would be very powerful for a product that to work really well on the laptop if we are going to tackle some serious use cases. So even though we were from South Korea and in the beginning we were focused on like mobile apps, we saw that serious productivity gains were happening in a laptop or like desktop. So we moved the focus there. And this kind of thing where I'd say these kind of insights would not be discovered if we were just in South Korea.
So Luke, just to jump in, I think this is a very interesting point you mentioned, right? Like you guys just decided from South Korea with your co-founder to like come to San Jose, spend time in the Valley. A lot of people say, right, like, hey, the Valley is the center of tech, and clearly you have like Y Combinator, like all the major VCs and all of those things. Beside the insight, what was kind of unique about the Valley which really allowed you to build faster than just getting insights about like the, like how students are using things? Like maybe like 2-3 things if you can share. Because I think a lot of founders think about this question like, hey, should we spend time in the Valley for a few months as we build?
It was very interesting for us. I'd say we didn't know that we will gain this kind of insight before we went there, but we just realized that there are some different things going on in the Bay Area, which is most of the people there who you will meet are somehow related to technology. Most of the people are very open to technology, very open to the future, and their feedback was really valid, even though like I was just riding an Uber, and then even the Uber driver is doing startup in the daytime.
Just tech is like life and blood of that place, and that just kind of like accelerates that. One other kind of like follow-up question to that, right? So did you guys had a network before you showed up in the Valley, or like you just didn't know anyone and you just like, hey, we'll figure it out?
We had zero network when we went there. Yeah, it was crazy. Like we just went there, and then when we arrived at San Jose Airbnb apartment, we didn't know what to do, so we just opened up Facebook and then found people nearby, and then just asked them like, "Can you meet us?" And then went to meet them, and then asked them like, "Where can we buy food?" That was our beginning.
Wow.
That's crazy, right? Like, and I think that just shows also like, like you took a leap of faith, you took a risk, and that risk has clearly paid off, right? Like your company has like 10 million users, like you raised like a Series B, Series A. So maybe like, let's just talk a bit about like this fundraising journey about your company, right? Like how did that happen from this ideation phase to raising money? Was that the first VC in the Valley? Was it some angels? Like, how did you get your first checks?
First investment was angel investment, and we've met some angel investors by introduction from some of our friends in the Bay Area. So since I knew nobody when we went there, so he was not friend before, I just asked like random people to please meet us because we wanted to meet people who have insights who can help us build products there. And there we met one guy, one person who is currently a CEO of a startup called Chartmetric. So he was an entrepreneur in Korea and then moved to United States, and he was living in San Mateo. So I met him, and somehow he liked like our maybe grit, and then he helped us a lot, and he introduced us to our first angel investors. Actually, we were very focused on bootstrapping Liner as a web highlighter pen product in the beginning. So it took a while to go over break even and create a product that grows organically. And back then we had about 300,000 monthly active users who are using the highlighter pen product. Since we were break even and the highlighter product was growing, and we gained insights in like a lot of vertical domains. There are some websites that are highly trusted than others. We thought that we can use this data to this insight to create some kind of search or content recommendation feed, because we were able to do things like, if you are reading A, a lot of people who read A also read B, so you have to read B. So this was the concept of our recommendation, and it went well. So that recommendation product led us to like millions of monthly active users, and then we got our first Series A funding.
So you have like this product now, you have some monthly active users. Was that kind of like the benchmark as you kind of went to like Series A investors, like, hey, like the number of users you had? Like what was the conversations like, and which fund ended up leading this round?
So our Series A fund was led by VCs in Korea. And in Korea, there are not much startups that actually has users globally. Most of startups are very focused on the local market. I guess the VCs saw potential in Liner because we were like almost only startup that was able to gain millions of monthly active users globally, and we were able to get users not only in United States. Somehow, Liner has been, even now, Liner is used well by a lot of countries around the globe, like India, Southeast Asia, Europe, even in Africa. I think that was the reason we were able to convince our Series A investors in Korea.
I just have one question there, right? Because I feel like we've kind of talked about this a little bit, right? So obviously, Liner's gotten a lot of users. You told us, early users, you went to cafes, you went to universities, you talked to students, and you got them. But what does this journey look like from, those first 100 or first few thousand up until 10 million? Like, how did you find them? Were you doing paid marketing? Were you guys doing organic social? Like, what does the journey there look like?
We were quite lucky because as a highlighter pen product on iOS App Store and Chrome Web Store, there were not much competition. So we were able to gain organic traffic. The baseline was about 300 to 500 downloads a day. So that was our initial traffic that built like our first 3,000 users, 10,000 users. And then something also very lucky happened. Liner got featured on the main page of iOS App Store in United States, and it was like the impression was, I think, in like 100 millions. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, it didn't all convert to download, but Liner quite got popular when it got featured there. And also we did a lot of work on product hunt. If you search Liner on Product Hunt, you will see a lot of launches there. We strategically did this: Liner, iOS Liner, Android Liner, Chrome. So this was the first 10,000, 100,000 users, the journey that we went to acquiring those users. And then after getting 300,000 monthly active users, we started paid marketing then. And the paid marketing was mostly about like YouTube video marketing and Google search ads. And still, the paid marketing that we only do is Google search ads and YouTube video ads. It worked quite well globally as well. So that was one of the drivers that made us into the millions of monthly active users. And starting from last year, we see some kind of a market trend where this AI thing is a wave, but I think it was a wave more related to technology, not actual customer adoption. But what we are experiencing and seeing from August last year is that customers are actually finding for AI products for various use cases like design, writing things, finding things, meaning our organic traffic is growing as the market adoption rate goes by. So I think that is one of the drivers that we are growing right now.
So Luke, like, just very curious about the product, right? Like, you obviously, you guys have now started building like an LLM based search engine. In your as we research, you obviously have Perplexity, which is doing a lot of advanced pro search as well. You have ChatGPT, Claude. How do you guys differentiate, like Perplexity being one? That will be like the first question. And then the second question is that how you've thought about your product to really optimize the search from an education perspective? I think that's the sector you're going on. I think I'd love to like hear a bit more about your product mindset and like how you're building in this applied layer on top of commercial models or like open source models.
So differentiation from Perplexity or other AI search, I think comes from our target customers, the area of focus. You can find a lot of podcasts or interviews of the CEO of Perplexity saying that we are if ChatGPT and Wikipedia had a baby. But Liner is in the opposite place where if we become Wikipedia, our users are not going to use us. Our users are using Liner because we filter out some sources that are not going to be able to be used on their papers, and we only try to use the web pages and papers that our users will be confident in using their studies or essays. Since our users like Liner, because we are very much focused on the sources side, we try to build some features like fact checking on each sentence of Liner's answers. Like if you click on a sentence that Liner provides, Liner will give you the web page it cited and then the exact phrase it cited. Meaning, if you want to do a research that you are really confident, you can't use ChatGPT because in the end, you will have to Google it again and visit the website and read the website yourself. But if you use Liner, you can be 100% confident because we do the fact checking and show the exact phrase, exact web page at the right size. So you don't have to read through the entire document. You don't have to Google it again.
Quick thank you to our sponsors, Assembly AI, for supporting the podcast. Assembly AI's new Universal 2 model redefines speech-to-text accuracy. It comes with major advancements in alphanumeric recognition, formatting, and proper noun precision. It goes beyond just words. Universal 2 offers the highest level of accuracy for transcriptions for real-world applications. Ready to explore? Head over to assemblyai.com/superhuman and experience the next generation of speech AI for yourself.
So how have you approached that? Is that like Liner has built like some proprietary data sources and you went and partnered with companies to get like some proprietary data into like your product, which kind of differentiates what ChatGPT or Claude or let's say Perplexity might be accessing? And then the second thing is that how are you doing fact checking at a sentence level? I assume like that takes a lot of resources. Like what's your approach there?
So in terms of data, I say there are two things. One is the knowledge that we've acquired by operating that web highlighter product before current AI search. And also we are partnering up with some other startups or companies who provide some data source that are not like on the web or that are not structured. So unstructured data. So we do have some partners providing that kind of data to us and we use it to give answers to our users. So we fine-tune the model that can cite the exact phrase from the web page and then tag it on the answer. So this is a fine-tuned large language model that we've made.
Well, if you're able to share it, like you don't need to if you don't want to, or like you're using commercial models, what's kind of like the first model you guys use which you eventually fine-tuned?
Oh yeah, we are open to sharing this thing. So the answer is Lama currently. But if you look at agent system or our RAG system right now, things like Liner doesn't work by using single LLM. So if user asks something, we have to understand the question and then maybe decompose questions into multiple sub-questions or just like use that question to do something. So this kind of like classifier is also large language model. After searching for documents that contain the answer for sub-questions or question, we have to get the relevant parts from the web page, which also needs a large language model. And then lastly, to combine the answer and write things, large language model is needed as well. And then lastly, to cite each phrase to each sentence, another large language model is needed. So at the back end of our agent system, GPT, Claude, and fine-tuned models based on Lama are all being used.
I totally agree. I think like these agent systems, you really need to kind of think about the unit testing to some extent. And if you can break things down into small by small pieces, it's impressive. Like you guys have done that, and you have a scaled product, which reflects that. approach as well. One question I think is that because I think a lot of folks are building agentic products today, and I think they will love this. And web is the primary source of search for them. If this is something you are able to share, is that how do you identify and classify your sources? Like, hey, you can look at 30 sources. Like, why did you pick 5? Like, do you have a scoring model, the back end, or you have a LLM which kind of scores them or evaluates them?
We fine-tune the ranker model based on also another large language model. So that ranker ranks the search result from other search engines and then use top K to answer things. And our ranker's performance is really high. It's at the state of the art in multiple domains currently. And the reason we are able to build this very high quality ranker model is also because of the things that we've been doing before AI search. So we were recommending articles to our users based on their reading patterns. This is a ranker. So before ChatGPT moment, we were using this ranker to provide articles to users. But after ChatGPT and when we pivoted to AI search, we are using this uh, ranker for a large language model.
So, I mean, the big news obviously is, you guys have raised a huge 29 million Series B round. I think most AI startups don't really get past A, so huge congratulations on that. I just wanted to ask, what does the future hold for Liner? Like, what do you see the next, year, 5 years, but, what is a long-term 10-year vision for Liner at this point?
Our vision from the beginning has always been centered around innovating search and discovery of information. So, and we aim to support as many as people as possible. So for now, our focus is 100% in United States and people in higher education. But in 10 years, we will try to expand two other countries and two other demographics beyond university, beyond graduate school. Because if you think about people in university, they are not university students for their whole life, right? They go to work, they go to research center, or they go do other things. And if we do a good job while they are in university and give them a 7-star experience in doing research, we think they will use Liner when they go to workplace for consulting, marketing agencies, software companies and others. So our goal is always our vision is always aimed through the largest users, but for now we are focused on United States. And also I like to mention that currently Liner's business model is centered around consumer subscription, 100%. We don't do B2B yet. But we've opened an office in San Francisco. We've opened our San Francisco office to just our users. We are really into understanding why our users are using Liner over Perplexity or ChatGPT. And even now, about 20% of our team members, entire team members, are in San Francisco. In the beginning, since we already had users in Berkeley or Stanford or UC Davis or USC in California, we just contacted our users and asked for help. That was the beginning. But now we've made a lot of relationship in university. We have ambassadors in multiple schools, and they led us to some student clubs in each university. So we have a lot of partners in each university right now. So of course, we do user interviews on our users and our partners there, but they also bring their friends to us. And then we ask them what is the pain point you guys have while doing some homework projects, writing essays? Why are you using Liner, or why are you not using Liner? Yeah. So we do this on a regular basis. In San Francisco, we normally meet over 4 users each day.
What advice would you have for folks who are starting out right now? You have now tools like Cursor, Vercel, Replit, which are making it much easier to launch. Obviously, you guys started building Liner when these tools didn't exist. It was very hard to build ML models. So knowing what the technology moat has slightly come down and much easier now to build. Like, what advice would you have for folks who are looking to build companies in the applied space and be successful, like yourself?
I think it's really important to understand the customers, obviously. But after that, I think it's really important to understand the strengths and weaknesses of each models out there. So, like Claude, Gemini, GPT, and like Lama, they all have strengths and weaknesses. So, and these days, I think most of the problems are not solved by just using single large language model. I think you have to orchestrate them in the right way. And also you have to be, I think you have to be very cautious on the cost side as well. So there are some, you have to have very high understanding on the task level that large language model has to do. Like this needs a very high speed and this needs very high intelligence. And then if you use GPT like 4 on everything, you will not be able to create margin there. So if you have some tasks that doesn't require that much intelligence but needs speed, you have to be able to use other models. But there are some tasks like you need very high intelligence and high speed at the same time, then you will have to find a way to fine tune some foundation models like Llama, because it will make you it will make your requirements work like faster, cheaper. I think yeah, making product has become more artful these days. You have to be very aware of your customers, but also aware of large language models weaknesses and strengths, and then the task level things.
And in your opinion, like, you guys just raised a Series B as well. What are investors looking at as they invest in applied companies? Like, what are the top three things from a VC perspective you found as you were pitching different investors, like, hey, they really cared about?
So one interesting thing that I've learned while doing this fundraising round is that a lot of investors are really interested in investing in AI search. But the problem is that, including Liner, I think not single AI search startup showed a clear defensibility yet, meaning we are not differentiated that much from each other yet. So I saw a lot of really amazing funds, VCs, saying that we are going to invest in AI search, but since we select one startup in one category and then push them till the end, we are going to wait and see who is going to be the last winner, who looks like is going to be the last winner. There is one ironic thing, which is, AI is a technology innovation, but I think these days, maybe marketing or positioning, branding might be more relevant, because if you think about AI product in your head, most of people will only be able to think about ChatGPT. I think these days are really about positioning and branding or distribution, and the like technology is just a foundation. Everybody has to do this well, but you have to do this more.
More, no, I think that's a
Yeah.
very interesting point. Like, if you don't have the distribution, you don't have the right positioning. No matter if your product is even great, it's going to be hard to get across because there are a lot of other people who are doing the same thing. So the positioning and branding is super critical. No, I totally agree with you on that front. And I think VCs are also trying to look through like who is kind of like achieving these things before they invest.
Just just wanted to ask you, like, what are the things in AI that you are most excited about over the next 12 months? Whether that's certain kind of apps, new models, some other technological innovation. I'd love to hear about the things that you'll be most excited about in the coming year.
It's really interesting because I think the most interesting thing may not be technology. I think the most interesting thing might be looking at how customers, how like general public react to the products that are AI native. ChatGPT was released in late November 2022, meaning it has not been 2 years yet. And GPT 3.5 Turbo API was released in March 1st last year, meaning like it's been only a year and a half. Like this kind of AI product boom was started a year and a half ago. So nobody knew what kind of product that the entrepreneurs should build and then provide to the customers. I think these days, some startups found some use cases that actually have usages. And after that, customers are actually trying it. I think the true wave will start from now on. So,
Interesting.
yeah, I think that will be the most interesting thing to look at.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I think, we're at the end of our conversation. Luke, is there anything else you wanted to share or discuss before we wrap things up?
Well, these days, like I'm always just talking about the customers. So I say, if we are building something out of AI, we are so easy to be focused on the technology side. But I think everybody who is building something should really be focused on the problems of the customers rather than the solution side, which is, I think AI is the solution. So for me and for others who are building things, I think we should be more careful in understanding the problems of customers and focus on that rather than other things. That will be really important.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I think that's a great place to end the conversation. Luke, thank you so much for coming on and doing this podcast with us. Hassan and I both really enjoyed this conversation. I think we learned a lot from you as well. Like,
Yes.
we're both building our own AI company. So I think, there were a lot of useful notes for us, both from the product side, the distribution side. I'm sure, there's a lot of builders and investors in our audience as well. I'm sure they have a lot of useful takeaways from this. And yeah, with that, thank you so much. And yeah, hopefully we'll chat again soon.
Thank you.
That's it for today. Thanks for joining us, and please subscribe so you don't miss another episode. Take care. Bye-bye.